Good morning, everybody. Oh, look at her. Hi, Cassie. Hi, Cassie. I hear you. Would you like me to feed you first? I never feed you first. Maybe we'll work backwards today. Ladies, we're going to work backwards because you always get fed first. Well, not always, but 99% of the time you get fed first. Yeah. I had talked about cleaning a stall yesterday. I honestly don't know what I was thinking. I had a Zoom call at 4:30, and I get off work at 4:15. So I had to get home from my Zoom, and then I had to go back into town because the school was having their 150-year celebration. So I was like, by the time I got home, it's like 8:30, 8:45. I wasn't going to come clean stalls at 9 o'clock at night on a school night. No. That's just cray-cray. Hi, Cass, my love. Hi, baby girl. Don't jump. This is the one. Oh, my goodness. Look at all that food. I filled their hays and their waters last night. What? Yeah, because when I came home, I had to come out in the barn because I didn't have time to feed them when I came home with the Zoom. As I ate in there too. Hello, Blitzy. Your new mama's going to come and get you in a couple weeks. Did you believe it's the weekend of... Yeah, I hear you. He's a persistent little booger, isn't he? Oh, you guys, your food is coming. Yeah, how's your water? The food's coming? I'll bring yours and little screaming Mimi here. But this one here for Grumpy Man. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, so I am looking at a buck. I have been looking at him for a week or two. He's not registered. However, I'm thinking I don't need to worry about that. I don't show goats, and they're only for dairy. So I'm not really sure why I would want to... I mean, if they had their crap together and it was more like AKC and it was all... I mean, you can do it online. You can register them online, but it still takes forever to get the papers back. And now they started doing this DNA thing, which the AKC did a long time ago, where you have to genetically, I don't know. Anyway, it just seems like an awful lot of extra fees and work to have a papered animal. So I got the email text yesterday that, what am I doing next? Blitz and these guys. The Michigan State Department of Agriculture, they put an end to poultry shows here in the state of Michigan because of the avian flu that's spreading to cattle. They keep saying specifically milk cattle, and I'm not exactly sure why it would be specifically for milk cattle. But so the fairs and stuff aren't going to have poultry until there's 40 days where there's no cases. some sort of weirdness. But do I need to milk you, Mama? Should I milk you? I think you'll be okay. You don't look, I mean, your teeth looks a little big, but he's a big boy. He can get that in his mouth. There's to put hay in here last night. Mama. That's my little squinker. That was my little stinker boy. Cute little bugger, aren't you? So, I need to print up his papers in case the lady buying him wants the papers. I was supposed to do those chickens, wasn't I? So, and for once, my husband wasn't giving me a hard time. I think it was, it's a long time ago. Probably 2000, I bet it's been almost 20 years. One of my grandparents died, and for some reason I got like sucked down the rabbit hole for the bird flu, the avian flu that had hit Taiwan at the time. And so I started doing hours and hours of research into it. I was reading stuff I didn't even understand what they were saying, trying to wrap my mind around this flu that had hit Taiwan, and it's highly pathogenic. And the only reason it didn't spread is because it was so deadly. It literally was killing people in like 6 hours. And because of that, it didn't really spread. And this was before we even were talking about bird flu in the United States. It wasn't on anybody's radar. And during that process, that's when I first started like, maybe we should have a little bit of food in the house. Maybe we should do this in the house. Maybe we should have some of this in the house. Just in preparedness. Matter of fact, the masks I used for COVID were masks I bought during my bird flu craziness. And people thought I was crazy. They thought I was off my rocker. And my husband was just, what is wrong with you? And here the birdies have built it. Wait, not this one. Yes, this one. And anyway, so when I read the article today, my first thought was, them scientists have messed with the bird flu and had it transfer over to cows. Because in all the years that I studied it, it was not a vector. Ferrets were a vector. Pigs are normally a vector for humans. Diseases don't normally just mutate to different species, especially viruses, because a chicken's body temperature is 107 degrees normal. Well, we're not that hot. So if you're a virus and you like it at 107 degrees, 98.7 isn't going to cut it. That's too cold. Why do you got to do that? You're going to make your water so nasty. So that's one of the ways that, just through natural selection and stuff, that these viruses don't normally mutate between species. They can go into a pig, which is a lower temperature, and then into a human who's, closer to a pig. So, anyway, this morning when I was reading that, I was talking to my husband, I was just like, this is stupid. This is absolutely stupid. Somebody's been messing with it to have it change a vector it's never ever been in before. And I'll bet my tax dollars paid for it. Doesn't matter what country it was in. But, so I'm not going to worry about registering my animals. That's just not going to be a concern of mine right now. I have better worries. No. I've sold like 3 goats. None of them wanted the papers anyway. It didn't matter to them whether they were papered or not. I don't live in an area where I can charge $450 for a goat and get it. Nobody's going to drive here to get that goat. So I don't see any reason why. I'm going to go fix this water. I don't see any reason why I should invest in that. Because I had a friend who bought cows. Well, this was probably 3-4 years ago when I first got here. He bought cows, establishing his herd, bought some cows, meat cows, beef cattle, got some heifers from a farm downstate. And 3 years later, gets a call from his wife while he's at work saying there were strange men in the barn and that they were in a Department of Agriculture truck. They didn't knock on the door. They didn't go in and talk to her. They were just out in the barn. So he, of course, gets home. Come to find out, the farm he'd bought his cows from 3 years earlier had tested positive for bovine tuberculosis, I think. Disease that is not up here in the UP yet. And he just... So anyway, they ended up taking the cows. They left their calves, which if they're positive, aren't their calves going to be positive? I mean, I don't know. If you put a kid in a classroom that has full of head lice, they're probably going to come out with head lice. Tuberculosis is supposed to be more contagious than head lice, right? Did I feed you guys already? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But, yeah. And they paid him, not market value, but they paid him for the heifers. And they took him downstate, tested them. They came back negative. They killed him anyway. When I asked, "So they're going to bring him back, right?" He just looked at me. He was like, "Are you stupid?" He didn't say that because he's a nice guy, but he just had that look on his face like, no, they're not going to bring him back. They determined that they were, they're ensuring that it's not in the herds up here. Well, I'm all fine and dandy with insurance stuff, but don't be not walking into my barn thinking you can just do whatever you want because you have a badge. Last time I checked, that'd be illegal. I just left you in there. Walked away. Left the camera on. Oh, that's a big fishing this week. That was a huge night crawler. All stretched out almost a foot long. I'd show you, but you're still in the barn. So, there you are. All right, ladies. Felt like I was leaving something. I left you in here. I'm so sorry I left you. You know what I was thinking? Ladies, how you doing? How you doing, Missy? Trying to focus on the wire. Bonnie. Yesterday, one of them must have been in the nesting box, and the other one bit their foot, and they were dripping blood. Like, what is going on in here? Sure enough. Let's see. They're squabbling. They're squabbling. I love that big, huge pine tree in there. I wonder how old it is. Look at those branches. One of the branches coming off is bigger than the trees around it. It's an ancient tree. I think this summer maybe I'll go in there, and it's not my property, it's a neighbor's, and measure it. I wonder if the Great Tree Hunt is on this year. The Great Tree Hunt is like every 2 years, 4 years. They come out and you send in, you measure it, you take a picture of it, you send the measurements and the pictures into the Great Tree Hunt, and they do a search to see which are the biggest ones in your county, your city, whatever. So, because I did Annie. And so then they had someone from the college come out and measure her themselves. And we were discussing her, and we're like, yeah, she's probably easily 150, 180 years old. There's the squirrel. Okay, the pine cone. You see it? Just gonna sit there on that little branch and eat it. Oh my goodness gracious, look at you. Can I zoom in? Where are you, squirrely? Is that you right there? It is. There we go. Here's a little squirrely. Off it went. That's Mr. or Mrs. Squeakers. And last night, where are you going, squirrely? You gonna come over my head and jump? Yeah, right. I don't know if you can see it. It jumps to this tree that I'm standing under and then takes off or follows the trees down that line. It goes over that way into the woods. Last night we had 2 Canadian geese with 4 babies, 3 or 4 babies. We're going to chase them off. John opened the door to talk to the adults, and they stood up, and babies came out from underneath. And we were like, okay, don't you come and eat our goose babies, you raven. Anyway, one more month. One more month. One more month, and I can just sit here. Just the peacefulness is just... As you try to figure out which bird makes which noise, I need to fill the bird feeders too. They're telling me that birdie's like scolding me. Anyway, enough about that. Hopefully in a couple weeks I will be headed downstate to go pick them. Maybe I'll do it next weekend. Who knows? Getting rid of Blitzel next weekend. Go down and pick them up, bring him back. Pigeons, red-winged blackbird. Pigeons kind of fly funny. Anyway, you guys have a great Thursday.